Welcome to the Dave Palmer Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palmer.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palmer Show. And with me in this episode, I have a distinguished constructivist psychologist, coach, and specialist in change management, leadership, influence, and persuasion, and personal development. John Fisher, welcome to the Dave Palmer Show.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you here, John. Pleasure to have you here. And obviously, having someone, as you know, the very few people I have from UK on here, it is mostly a US-led guest show, but the population's bigger, so I suppose the ratio is about right. The ratio is about right, really.
We'll set the balance a bit better with a Yorkshireman, and we're equal to a few dozen from everywhere else.
And I hope you excuse my mild London accent as well. So
you're forgiven for being southerner. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, soft southerners or whatever you call us. Anyway, all jokes aside, let's find out more about what you do, John. You're a psychologist and coach. Obviously, I've left the fire brigade, but I got into a bit of coaching, mainly because I used to do athletics first and while I was in the fire brigade, but then there was some coaching and mentoring in the fire service. And as you can imagine, there's a lot of psychology going on anyway, and organisational psychologists in there and everything. So I got more sucked into that, especially with my own experience and what's going on now in the fire service as well. So that I did a bit of resilience coaching on top of fitness coaching, life coaching and things like that. So that's more niched for me, really, you know.
And well needed, I think, in the fire service as well. A friend of mine who's ex-fire service is a coach and working back into it.
That's exactly what, I hope to do myself, really, try and work back into it. But it does involve a bit of marketing and sales and saying, hi, it's me again, you know. It's a bit difficult. Yeah. It's probably more easier from your end, what you're doing, really. But tell us more.
In some ways.
No, I was going to say. So, you say what you're going to say, because it's you're the guests.
I was just going to say, in some ways it is, and in other ways it isn't, because you can do a niche marketing and you can go lead and then through, is it St. Asaph, the old to every other one, whereas when you're working with businesses and different businesses, it's almost starting afresh with every business till you've built up that trust and that respect.
Yeah, that's true.
Where you go in automatically with that credibility.
Yeah. It's different angles for different people, like horses for courses kind of thing, really. So tell us
that.
Yeah, tell us more about what you do then. I'm very interested in the Fisher curve, which obviously your surname's Fisher. I really am interested in that, actually. That does make a lot of sense to me. So, and then of course, your general sort of management and business coaching and communication, etc. that you do as well. Tell us about your background first, how you got into it, and then how you developed this Fisher curve. Okay.
So I had a varied working career, apprenticeship in the Royal Air Force on radar, and worked on radar, radios, aircraft for a few years, both first line, as in changing black boxes on the aeroplanes themselves, and then second line, repairing the printed circuit boards and working on lasers.
But, so like me then, you're used to using headphones and speakers and using comms. We call them comms in BA sets, you know, stuff like that. Not unusual then.
I sat in a few aeroplane cockpits talking to the conning towers during doing radio checks and everything.
I remember those.
Yeah, and done a bit of marshalling of aeroplanes as well over a couple of tours. So standing there with the old ones doing
I
type of things.
I took the driving course. I didn't drive too much, so far, because I went sideways with a promotion soon afterwards. But I did it at RAF Stanmore. So we did all our skid training and everything on the runway while the planes were landing.
That was exciting.
Well, the firefighters were there, so they did their training there anyway, because they were RAF firefighters. So we sort of went in their station, and then we got our own, London Fire Brigade at Stanmore, and we just had an arrangement with them, really. So
nice.
Yeah. So skid training and everything while the RAF planes was landing. It was weird. But anyway, yeah, I think they might have found somewhere else now.
One of the places I was, my last tour of duty, I was at a little small RAF enclave on an army base, and we were teaching, or the pilots were teaching the Navy how to fly. So they were doing the basic Navy flying training, and they were flying Bulldogs, little small 2-seater aeroplanes.
Right.
Because they were all brand new pilots, I'd be stood there on the pan waiting for an aircraft to come in.
Yeah.
And I suddenly looked behind me, and they snuck round the wrong way, and they were coming round so quick I had to turn round and get them into the right place. So that was interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a very, very important role, and control, anything with the word control or whatever, where you're actually directing them or whatever. I remember last year, the control actually went out. It wasn't a strike even. It wasn't no labour movement strike. It was the air control system went berserk. And I was on the train at Gatwick with my little daughter, and it was packed. It was just.
I can imagine.
That's scary. That's scary.
Yeah.
No, that was the air control for the airplanes, wasn't it?
Yeah, I remember it going down last year. It was. Oh, they had a glitch, didn't they? A computer.
Yeah,
went down. I remember it. Yeah. And
so I mean, you guys are
flying.
Exactly. You guys, what you do is just as important, isn't it, really? Probably pilots, it's scary for pilots when they're landing. Anything else it's actually a doddle for them, apparently.
Totally.
So
they're the most dangerous times of any flight is takeoff and landing.
Yeah, that's right,
Once you're up, you're up.
Yeah.
It's just the coming down or the going up.
Air control. It's just like their crutch taken away from them when it went berserk. Anyway, let's get back to you and your background. So that was your background then. And then what led you into going coaching? And
I think I always should have been in coaching. When I first joined as an apprentice, I started to play squash. To have somebody to play against. I taught my friends how to play.
Okay.
And within 3 or 4 months, they were all hammering me round the court and beating me
I have
everywhere.
played squash a few times in my younger days. Yeah. I got my ribs a few times hurt by the racket handle,
Yeah. And had the odd squash ball in the back of the head.
I stuck with athletics. I've tried boxing when I was 15. I always went back to athletics. Well, football was all right, but I wasn't good enough really after I left school. So athletics, I was like one of the top in the country, So from my age, that is, not the top, but like top 10, like that from my age, So
I suppose 100, 200, long jump were my.
Well, that's how I started. Yeah, that's how I started. But I somehow got into 400s and 800s. But that's what happens, really.
I found later in life I had asthma, which explained why I never could move up to 400. So 200 was about as far as I could go.
If you knew about it, it would have helped, But
it would.
Because you had it and didn't know about it, It's like. I didn't know I had dyslexia until I was 40 years old, So that was that's a huge help if I had it at school and had the assessment and diagnosis.
Especially for any of the promotions that you want.
That's what happened, So that's
you're always hindered.
Well, that's what happened, I've passed the psychometric test, with all the patterns and everything, because you're good at patterns and things like that, spatial awareness. But when it came to actually doing the promotion and the paperwork and all the studying all the operational notes and everything, and anyway,
It's bad enough without, let alone with.
Yeah. I mean, society nowadays, everything, even now with the advent of AI now and everything else, it's just, you could literally lay back and let the computer do everything these days, can't you?
One day.
And read everything for you, you know. So.
Yeah. More recently, I was a coach mentor for a level 5 coaching apprenticeship, adult apprenticeship.
Yeah.
And I think we're getting better at making accommodations, and the awarding body with their exams did make accommodations for people and would have a reader for some people who were quite on the ends of the various neurodivergent things. So I think we're getting so much better, but there's so many people like you getting diagnosed in midlife with everything neurodivergent. So I think we're sharpening up on that. And
it's getting,
it's getting.
No, sorry, it's getting there now. Yeah. I mean, the only thing is that I think there's not enough done with schools. Maybe it's the resources, but then a lot of adult dyslexia, a lot of adult autism and things like that. People are suddenly finding out, you know, I took the test myself and I found out, you know, it's just amazing how people just suddenly...
the number. But, and I suppose that's part of the wider thing that we do as psychologists and as constructivist psychologists. It's about understanding people and where they come from and understanding what meaning they make of things. So, whereas if you look at things like Freud and psychoanalysis, what happens a lot of the time there is the coach or the psychotherapist basically tells you what they think of what you think.
Yeah.
Whereas from a constructivist perspective, I want you to tell me what you think, and that's where I then work with. And it's about speaking and understanding your language and how you use.
Right, I see, yeah.
Either things that I've done has involved really internal and external customer relationships, team building internally, but also working with customers, suppliers, and the in-house team to help them understand the other party's perspectives. So it's getting them to share what they mean by the words that they're using and helping them understand how to get on with each other more effectively.
Yeah.
And it's almost, if the teams can speak a shared language, they can work better than if they don't, and it prevents conflict and loggerheads. I think it was Deming, the man who was one of the key players in systems operations, process engineering, time and management. And there is a quality award named after him, the Deming Award. I think it was him who talked about 90% of failures in quality are actually failures in communication. And when you think about that, it's quite scary. The fact that we don't communicate effectively enough in a business sense that causes so much more work and so much more conflict.
Yeah, no, I mean, communication is a key thing. I mean, so, as long as that shared language is obviously appropriate language. You can imagine in sometimes the culture, and not just a fire service, any kind the more boisterous the culture is in the front line, the more you're going to get that. And it's military, obviously, it's just the same, you know, so it's just...
I was, just doing a development day for a company I worked for, a training, interpersonal skills training. And one of the people on the course was an ex-miner who retrained and spent the whole time effing and jeffing throughout. Just naturally, I'm not sure they realised they were doing it.
Yeah.
And then at lunchtime, my boss, who was female, came in to join us for lunch, and he never swore once.
Yeah.
And as soon as she walked out, it was back effing and jeffing again. And there were half a dozen females on the course. It was the team he worked in.
Yeah.
So they'd obviously got in a culture as a team where none of the the other females batted an eyelid
Yeah.
at this and just put it down. So yeah, some cultures are do take a while to get past and round.
Yeah.
And I think maybe you talked about my curve a minute ago, and maybe that's a little into the curve in some ways, because the curve's about people's emotional journey and change, about how they perceive the change, what they think's going to happen, and then the impact on their sense of identity as to going through that change.
Yeah.
And then hopefully being able to make accommodations, be able to make improvements, and to get through it positively.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like you to talk the audience through that. I'm obviously sharing the screen or anything in terms of if anyone's watching YouTube, and obviously a lot of this is on audio. So they can actually find your curve on your website, can't they?
They can, yeah. It's c2d.co.uk, so charlie2delta.co.uk.
So talk us through it. It's really, really a fascinating curve, actually, for transition of change.
Yeah, it formally is called a process of transition.
Yeah,
everybody seems to refer to it
the Fisher curve.
As the Fisher curve.
Yeah,
and a friend of mine who's also a consultant, she regularly tells me she was in a company and saw somebody had the Fisher curve on their desk, and then she always has a grin to herself when she sees it.
Yeah.
So it actually came about because for a while I was a volunteer counsellor for an alcohol abuse agency.
Oh, counselling. I was right. Okay. Not politics counsellor.
Not politics.
No, because I've got a couple of colleagues that are counsellors now, after even say politics one, So.
No. Yeah. I let them stick to that. They've got no competition from me.
No.
But I found people would come have a really good, engaging session, go away on a high, having made a few commitments, and not come back the following week, despite having made an appointment. And you go through the imposter syndrome, it's me, I'm rubbish, and all the rest. Yeah. Then I found everybody else. That started me thinking about why have they not come, what's done it. And I think one of the key points for me are the moments that made the change into creating the curve was I was in the reception area waiting for somebody I was seeing, and somebody else was waiting to go in to a family session. And they said to me, "Oh, my sister came to see you, thought you were brilliant, really enjoyed the session, got a lot out of it." And I'm sort of saying, "Oh, thank you, that's nice. How's she doing now?" And I'm thinking, if it was that good, why end the following session type? And I started thinking, to change your life, you've got to change your life. So it means people you used to know, especially from an alcohol perspective, you've got to almost totally change your whole environment because people collude. And that started getting me thinking about the walk away on the high, the cold light of day comes in, and I start thinking about, but I like this, I like that, I like them. What will I do? I'll be lonely, I'll have nobody, where's my support, and all these things that started having that. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's realised that any change is a loss. And you do lose something as part of that change. So that got me thinking about the implications of what Kubler-Ross was doing about the denial, the bargaining, and all the rest of it. And I thought, well, you go through something similar, but it's about you. You're almost bargaining with yourself in what can you do, how can you do it. So I took the sine wave, the SI, and people initially, bit of anxiousness, bit of anxiety around what will happen when the change happens, how will they cope and everything, to almost then a little feeling of relief that something's happening. You can stop worrying now because it's happening. And then that's sort of taking us to the top of the curve. And then as we come down the curve, we go through fear and threat. which is around the scale of the impact. So it's, as you go down, it's more and more of an impact, a bigger impact on you, your sense of identity in whatever that change is, till you get sort of to start feeling guilty about not being better, not seeing it coming, not being able to adapt or adjust around.
Yeah.
Or depression, but was quite rightly pointed out that I wasn't talking about clinical depression here. I was talking more about the common usage of the word depression, and since changed it to confusion, because I think that's the best word I've found since then, that sort of explain that I just don't know what to do, I don't know where to go, I don't know how to do anything, and I'm just lost and floundering. And that downwards on the curve is quite a emotionally intense and laden experience, where I started realizing that in the initial stages of the downward, people tend to be angry at whoever's making them change, and they tend to be angry at the other, be it the organisation, a person, their team leader, whatever. But as they get further down, they start internalising that anger and start changing it to being angry at themselves for not being as good as they thought they were, for not being able to understand, and all of these. And then they eventually hit rock bottom and start making it work, start looking at what they can do to change it, getting little things sort of involved in them, making small incremental changes that eventually leads them to the end of that particular curve in a positive, healthier place where, and we're under all these curves all of the time in different ways, different stages. And at one level, psychologically, we are both on a curve about this podcast. You, because it's rare that you have somebody from the UK on, and you're wondering how it'll go, somebody new, how will it go, will we, ... So you're going through that journey to a greater or narrow, shallower curve point, as I'm doing it as well, of course, from my side of the camera, in how will this go? Will I show myself up? Will I do a good job? Will the audience understand where I'm coming from and everything? So we're all at the same time. What I also realised, partly from personal experience, they are unhealthy, and up at the top of it there's denial, which is just the head in the sand. I'm ignoring the change, and if I ignore it, it'll go away and I won't need to at the bottom, from guilt, there's sort of a little track coming off that I've called hostility, in an aggressive sense. The fight against the change, the fight against the need to change. And the only difference really between the denial and the hostility is energy. The hostile phase expands a lot of energy in fighting and railing against the moon, whereas the denial expands no energy in it and just hide and hopefully it'll be okay. Yeah. Then in between there, I sort of realised that I've done it a couple of times, and I've got to a point in some jobs where I felt they were toxic, where I've decided to go, and I've decided to leave that job because I'm not prepared to compromise my values, my beliefs, to fit in with somebody else's pressure ones. A couple of years after I first created the curve that really brought this one to life, I was in one company that had a value of accepting mistakes, allowing people to make mistakes and giving them the freedom to try it if they felt it was right, as long as they learnt from them. And director, one stage, putting out an email saying, I'm fed up with people making these mistakes. The next time somebody makes this mistake, I'll publicly name and shame them. And you think, hang on a minute, what's this? We've got that to do everything's right.
Yeah, I suppose he felt under pressure, didn't he? Or she, I don't know.
I would assume so, yeah. They probably did. But then it goes against the company values what they're doing is around that, which maybe gives them some excuse. When you're up to your backside in alligators, it's hard to remember you're there to drain the swamp. Yeah. And that's about all these things snapping at our heels, just distract us and take our attention away from where it should be. And it's sometimes hard to see clearly when you're in that place, which of course is down the bottom of the curve. And imposter syndrome, a lot of people find themselves in that curve and then over-egg something to try and force it because they don't feel good and send out the wrong messages because where they're at. And I found a lot of times, as you rightly say, that people sometimes overreact because they're in that place and don't know what to do. Yeah. And they're at the bottom of the curve and don't quite see other people might be at different places and help them get through it and round it, which is how I've used the curve. I put a line on the floor and then got people walking the curve, standing the curve. Done sometimes looking straight across. Oh, yeah. Do anything like that.
That's a bit like a timeline. The timeline exercise, but this is the curve exercise. Yeah, that's quite good.
Yeah, and I incorporate timelining within it. So people who think they're just at the top or the start of that fear around it, I get them to do a timeline exercise and literally walk across the curve to the other side if we're doing a one-on-one and then look back at the journey. If I'm doing it with teams, which I was last week, I'll then get them talking to each other across the divide and exploring what did they get, what do they need. Yeah. I'll also, when I've done it with team leaders, get them to think about where they are on the team, on the curve, compared to where their team is, and then say, okay, so you're here, how do you manage somebody there? Yes. And if you're in a negative place and your team are in a positive place, how do you manage yourself not to drag them back? Because unfortunately, the curve isn't linear. People can go backwards as well as forwards.
Well, that's it, exactly. So it's good that you put yourself in it, actually. And you can see the progress, can't you? And see the goals where you're going and if you fit in and that sort of, so you can manage it, quite well.
Yeah, very much
That's a very good idea.
Yeah, definitely. And I would recommend, trying it for any of your listeners who fancy having a go. Just try it and just walk. I'd say walk straight across it in the first instance rather than walk down it, because I'm a big fan of positive psychology, appreciative psychology, and looking at how do we make it work, why am I here? I think turning it round to look to the future is far healthier than looking to the past. And
while staying in the here and now, so if you're in that time, that curve with the timeline, you're here and now. This is where I am, but this is what I can see happening. This is a positive effect of what I can see, and look at that work I've left behind,
very much so. Yeah.
Exactly.
And sometimes get them imagining what it would be like to be at the other side. So get them to think about what that environment would be like. Yeah. Again, as part of the timelining.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. I've definitely, will probably have to bear you in mind as a coach to work with if I get my thing, because the company I'm working with, they've initiated last Monday, and not this Monday, a week ago, resilient workplace program. So, and this is globally, but so
excellent.
Try to find service first if I can, but there's been a few. PTSD and suicides isn't really isn't really something you can take lightly, is it really? And even in these macho type jobs, so.
No, it isn't. And I think it's even harder in them.
It's harder. It is harder,
because you're supposed to be immune to it and stiff up a little.
Apparently, apparently. It doesn't work that way.
No. It doesn't at all. No.
It's worse,
my neighbour's a fire. He's a volunteer fireman.
Oh, okay,
The lad next door.
Yeah, the station
over the years, haven't they?
Station next well, they call them retain, actually, but it's part-time. They're part-time firefighters, actually, so they do get paid. So it's slightly different to volunteer, but
and I think he's retained to be honest.
Yeah, that's right. I think it would be retained. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he is really getting paid when he does go to, to actually fire calls.
Living, of course, on the edge of the M6.
Yeah.
One of the things he goes to.
Oh, yeah. I've been to some.
You want.
Yeah, I've been to some serious stuff on the roads.
I'm sure, and on the M6 as well. Yeah. Very much so.
I wasn't far from the M1 actually myself, and the M40. The M40, those two. I wasn't.
Yeah.
That part of London I worked, the northwest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think it's important for any resilience program to have coaches there to just give that second line of support.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the problems with resilience with a resilience culture is it can sometimes be used as an excuse for dumping more and more on people. This will build your resilience up. Yeah, do that. And it'll help you become even more resilient. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Yeah.
It does to an extent, but too much can still be really damaging. So there's a potential dark side to resilience that does need to be out in the open.
Yeah. That's something that will come up. Well, there's something that will come up anyway in any of these meetings. Yeah. Things like that. So I'm not sure how I approached my one. A lot of stuff I did was online on apps and things like that, but more the life coaching, fitness and health and things like that, mindfulness and a few other things. So I use that a lot in sports when I was doing my athletics and things like that. I don't know about you, to sort of when you're getting yourself psyched up and things like that.
Definitely. Well, it works, doesn't it? And, if we think about Whitmore's GROW model came out of sports and sports psychology.
That's where it is, the GROW model, motor racing, I think it was a motor race.
Was it?
I think so, yeah. Well, John, we're going to run out of time here, and I'm sure I'd love to have you back as well. And being in the UK, I'm sure we'll probably meet up and maybe do some work together if we can. But just before we go, can you just let people know where they can find out more about you? And you've got some books as well. Tell them where they can find your books.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, c2d.co.uk. So the letter C, the number 2, the letter D, which stands for just coaching, counselling and development. It was just simple, 2 C's and a D.
Keep it simple. Another thing that's designed by the Navy, I think, that one, keep it simple.
Yeah, keep it simple.
Yeah, stupid simple or something like that. That's it. Yeah,
I never quite like the stupid simple. I know. Keep it short and simple.
They try to make it the word out of it. I think that's why they added the stupid in there.
Which I think is good. I mean, at the end of the day, Whitmore did with GROW, didn't it? Because
that's right.
GROW was really motivation.
Well, that sounds a lot better, really. But
I regularly say, the GROW model sounds better than GROM. GROM doesn't quite roll off the tongue.
Anyway, John, we could be here forever talking. And I know we're going to run out of time soon. Zoom's going to kick me off soon. So we'll have you back for definite. That's for sure. I'll make sure.
No problem.
All my guests. And well, thanks a lot for sharing all this on the show. And
my pleasure, Dave. Thank you very much for having me. And I look forward to seeing you again.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening. And remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.